So this is Slick Rock in Moab, Utah. It is a really cool place to ride. You can see the dotted white lines on the rocks themselves. Now, the crazy thing about this, and as you go through and see some more of the footage here, a lot of the spots in Slick Rock are really steep. I mean, really steep. You get a lot of traction on the rocks, so I wouldn't worry about riding it up or doing a hill climb up one of these rocks, because it's pretty much mandatory that you keep going forward. It does get really hard, so I do recommend there is a practice loop that's I'd say moderate. It was still There was still some interesting parts and still difficult parts, but if you think the practice is easy, like I did, then you would probably be okay with the entire Slick Rock trail. However, I do want to note that just like that sign said in the beginning of the Slick Rock Trail, this trail is not for beginners. Okay? It says that it recommends that you are advanced, experienced riders only. And it's for good reason. At first, the first I'd say mile and a half, it's really not that bad. It's really fun. It's really cool. It's so interesting because I know the video doesn't show it, because I've watched videos on Slick Rock to even know that it was there, because I'm on the East Coast and I drove all the way out there to ride Slick Rock and Canyonlands and White Rim Trail and all that. But in the videos, like you see the views and all that, it's really massive. I mean, there's this one canyon in here that I'm overlooking it from Slick Rock. It looks like the Grand Canyon. I mean, it's not that big, but it's super big. It's really big. So, I mean, until you go out there and ride Slick Rock, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. Like right here where you're riding up these rocks, watch the front end of the bike here. Boom. Pops up, goes straight up. There's different footages where I'm even going so far up that you don't even see the rock anymore. You just see the sky. And at certain points, you will go up a hill climb of a rock, and the front end will come up on you and want to lean back. And if you have to lean forward to put that front end down and keep going forward. You are going to be in first, second gear pretty much the entire course. It is a slow track. It takes a while. It is, I think it was 10 and a half miles basically. This one I think goes up a good bit. But in that 10, plus miles, it takes a long time. I bet you I was there a good hour and a half, probably 2 hours. And it was, at the end, you're getting pretty tired, because the one thing I can say about Moab that I dislike, I know that the videos I watch from Everride, he actually lives in Utah, and he's used to the heat from St. George and Moab and all that, and I'm sure it goes at better times of the year, not in June when I went. I had one decent day of riding. The rest of the days, it was just way too hot to ride this late in the day. I think this day it was only in the high 90s, which was pretty good for Moab. So if you're going to go there, make sure that you find the right time of year. Google search, this is a good one right here, I think. Google search the average temperatures. Yeah, see how you can't see the rock anymore? That tells you how steep it is. The average weather for Moab. And when you do that, it's going to give you the average temperatures, highs and lows, for every month. Okay? Pick the month that's best suited for you. Moab will kill you. There is no shade there. It's very hot, very desolate. It's basically a desert. If there wasn't a civilization there and you got stuck out there, with no one around or no cell phone or something, you probably wouldn't make it. I mean, that little tree bush right there, and they're small. You could lay under it and get some shade and get out of the sun. Like you can see, there's a little shade inside the bush. But you would definitely be roughing it to get through. So just remember that these trails are fairly well traveled. As you can see, I haven't passed anybody. I think the only time I saw anybody is I did see a tour, because the 4x4 Jeep trail intersects with this one, and I saw a tour over there in the distance, and then I passed, I think, a couple mountain bikers, and that was it in the 2 hours I was there. So there is people that travel it every day, but you know, they are few and far between. So just remember that this place is really steep, really treacherous. It is a difficult ride, not for someone that's experienced. I would say that it's just challenging. I felt that it was a challenging ride, especially on the way back, and you had to go up some of the rocks that you were sliding down, because when you hold your rear brake in on some of these downhills, you use some of your front brake, which I normally don't, but they're that steep, the front end will start sliding underneath of you, and you go a little sideways going down the rock. That's how steep they are. And on certain rocks, I have no idea, I guess they just put it in there because it's the best route, but sometimes you have to go straight up, and in the middle of a straight uphill climb in first gear, you got to take a right-handed, like a 90-degree turn. Not the best. A lot of this right here, you know, you got to hop up on top of these. They're not all smooth surfaces. There's a good bit of spots where you got to pop the front end up. Definitely a decent place for someone that would like to learn how to be a better advanced rider. I think that if you went on this a lot, you could, you know, master this trail in a couple goes. I only did it once just because of the heat, and like I said, every other day I was there. I rode in the morning over at White Rim Trail and Canyonlands, but other than that, you really can't ride too late because it's only cool in the morning. Now check this out, you're on the side, and I know you can't see it, but you're really close to the edge, and it kind of like just slants over the edge here. You've got to go along as the edge. You're barely on the one edge of your tire on the knobbies, and that's a straight down. So you're riding across. You see I stopped there for a second just to get a breath and to figure out how I'm going to balance on that. And then the rest of the way on this Slick Rock Trail, I feel that it was one of the better riding experiences of my life, just because I've never done anything like this. It was very different than normal dirt bike riding. I think that a trials tire, if you're only going to be doing this rather than going over to Canyonlands and White Rim Trail, that a trials tire would probably suit you best on this surface, just because you go through some sand, some of it's deep sand, and then you're on the rocks the rest of the time, and a trials tire will really spread out and give you all the traction that you need on the rocks or in the sand. I was running the tubeless system, and I had no problems with it. Right here you can see how steep that little part is there. It's hard to tell, I guess, but I would say it was a good, I don't know, 3-4 feet hop up. You had to bring your front end up